Welcome in to the College Football Every Game on the Board podcast, week number 10, part number 1 here. We're top of the card going down in order, each and every game on the card. 305, 306, the rotation number start, down to 340, Pitt, Syracuse to hit every single game on the board with our leadoff hitter here, Matt Josephs from sportsmemo.com. Follow him on Twitter at midmajormatt. Matt, happy Wednesday to you. Welcome in.
Happy to be here, Drew. I got a baseball team 2 wins away from a World Series. I got an undefeated football team. I've got good college football information to give out, so this should be pretty fun.
It really should, man. I guess at the top, do you like the Phillies to win the World Series overall? I mean, they're going off minus 150 series price right now with the 2-1 lead.
I mean, I got them at a plus price, but I've taken them as a homer every series, so I'm rolling that money over. It's been pretty good so far. But yeah, I mean, the best pitcher on their team tonight at home where they don't lose in the playoffs. It's a good situation to be in, that's for sure.
It is, man. Well, we got another good situation for sports bettors out there. We got Maction, midweek Maction, that is, with 2 games going on Wednesday. So those are the 2 games we're going to start with. I appreciate, by the way, before we get into the games, everybody DMing me, asking me if we're going on Tuesday because we did have Maction. It's just too much, mainly to put on Matt to get ready for not only the Tuesday games, but to have all the other games ready. So we're just going to keep it on Wednesdays. Might do something special like on Twitter or something for the Tuesday Maction, but I don't think we're going to have it every game on the board. But hey, we will have the Wednesday Maction starting right now, 7 o'clock Eastern time for both games. Hopefully you have 2 TVs with the World Series going, maybe 3 TVs. 305, 306, Central Michigan, Northern Illinois here, Matt. We're seeing Northern Illinois minus 6-point home favorites, 57 being the total. Central Michigan, I know they were banged up a lot this year, but catching 6 here, I don't know. I was thinking about the chips. What are you thinking here in tonight's Maction?
Yeah, I do have one play for tonight. It's in the other game, so we'll get into that in just a second. But I came really close to playing Central Michigan plus 6 tonight. I asked my NIU guy who he thinks is going to start tonight. He thinks it's going to be Justin Lynch. I mean, that's not to say Rocky Lombardi couldn't play tonight, but he seems to think that the third stringer is going to come in. And you have to wonder, like, what's the motivation for NIU, who basically was supposed to play for a MAC title and is now basically playing for bowl eligibility. They've been disappointing. They've had some injuries, obviously, at quarterback. The luck that they had last year on 4th down and 1-possession games kind of ran down a little bit this year. And then you look at Central Michigan, who was also supposed to be really good this year. But Richardson hasn't been very good. The run game with Lou Nichols has been disappointing. Their defense is pretty good, though, at least against the run. You can throw on them. And if it's Lombardi tonight, that would concern me. If it's Justin Lynch, I don't think Northern Illinois could take advantage of Central Michigan's problems. We saw this line go up a little bit from the open, Drew, but we also saw last night the line go up a little bit on Kent State. And obviously they lost outright. So I do like the underdog here. It was very close to making my card, though.
Yeah. I mean, you bring up line moves. Kent State's been wrong all season long. I mean, they've been taking money more weeks than I can count, and they've been a money burner. I mean, with midweek Maction, guys, I don't pay attention as much to the line moves. What I would say out there, Matt, is it did open -4 to -6, and the total opened 55, and it's 57.5. That makes me think that they're moving it on Lombardi actually playing. Do you have anything on that?
Yeah, it would make sense because you would think that the offense would be a little smoother with Rocky Lombardi in there.
Yeah.
I'm looking on Twitter real quick. Nobody has said anything definitive, but everybody who's in our industry is saying, hey, this line must be because Lombardi's playing, which, is a bad way necessarily to think, Drew. Last night, I'm pretty sure, Colin Schlee didn't look like he was going to play, and then all of a sudden he did. So, it's going to be interesting to see. It's Maction, so anything can happen, really. I lean towards the underdog. If you do want to wait, maybe there's a small bump again if Lombardi is officially announced the starter. I don't think you'll get 7, but I do like Central Michigan plus the points tonight.
All right, we got the second of the 2 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific games here, 307, 308, as we're making our way down. If you're new to the Every Game on the Board podcast, we do hit every single game. We like to say go to the Wager Talk live odds screen, and those little numbers next to the team name, that's a rotation number. We're just going down in numerical order, hitting every single college football game for this weekend. We got Western Michigan, Bowling Green up next, actually during this week too, Wednesday night. 48 being the total, Matt. -5. That's Bowling Green, the Falcons in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Crazy to see Bowling Green be the favorite here by this much. Western Michigan just has not been very good this year. I've enjoyed fading them to some respect. As I said, I do have a play up on our website, sportsmemo.com. But I could say this. I think the under, it comes into play here, Drew. You've got two teams, one that's a little quicker pace-wise, one that's not. But Bowling Green can't run the ball, really. Their passing attack is very inconsistent. Matt McDonald has like an odd hitch to the way he throws the ball. And then you look at Western Michigan, their offense has kind of disappeared a little bit too. So I would think that the line move up is basically people blindly betting overs in action, which we saw last night didn't hit in the Kent State game, once again, referring to that one. So I kind of lean towards the under, but I do have a play up on our website on something involving this contest.
We got Thursday, November 3rd action here. 3:11, 3:12, the rotation, 7 o'clock Eastern. UTEP and Rice battle for Texas here. We're seeing the Rice Owls -3.5 at most sports books. There is a -4 if you're in Las Vegas at Westgate. 48 being the total. We get the UTEP Miners and the Rice Owls here. What are you liking with this one, Matt?
So this may be a play for me tomorrow. I haven't put in tomorrow's plays yet, but Rice's team total is 26.5, or it was yesterday when I took a look at it, as I write down all the teams. I mean, UTEP has the best defense of anybody in this conference. Now, it hasn't helped them because their offense has been pathetic, but to see Rice this high is very interesting. I don't believe in their offense. McMahon is a mediocre quarterback. They don't go very fast. They only scored 23 points on Charlotte last week. That's like scoring, everybody scores 40 on Charlotte. So I'm looking to kind of fade the Rice Owls offense. Now, I don't know where UTEP's head is at. They're coming off the loss to Middle Tennessee. They won this game last year, 38-28, but Rice's team total might be just a bit too high against a competent defense in this one.
Okay. Have you gotten a chance to watch Rice much? I've watched a few of their games. I didn't get a chance. I watched some of the Charlotte game, not down to the end. I mean, for them to only put up 20-something points against Charlotte, that's like mind-blowing to me. I actually thought McMahon looked pretty good in the games leading up to that. I mean, he runs around, he can throw it pretty good. You don't think he's all that great, though?
I don't think. I mean, he definitely has a turnover issue. And yeah. I mean, look, obviously last week, one of my wins last week was I was on Charlotte +16 playing the fired coach bump. I certainly didn't expect them to win by 33. So I don't know where Rice's head's at after a short week in a game they should have won at home against a bad Charlotte 49ers team. But yeah, this team total is just a bit high for an offense that kind of doesn't scare me very much all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, Charlotte is an over-only team for me, and for Rice only to put up a few more than 3 touchdowns is kind of head-scratching. We also got a good one here in the Sun Belt, 7:30 Eastern, App State and Coastal Carolina, -3. That's the Mountaineers on the road, 64 the total. Mountaineers and Chanticleer is a good one in the Sun Belt here, Matt.
Yeah, this is a tough one because last week, one of my losses was I had Marshall last week. I figured off the JMU game, Marshall would be able to take advantage of Coastal. Coastal's got a ton of injuries, especially on offense. Marshall's offense just isn't good enough. I think App State's offense is good enough to take advantage of Coastal Carolina, but these two teams have been kind of hard for me to figure out. We've talked about what App State's season's been like in all the games in all different directions. You win the game at Texas A&M, but then you lose to Texas State, and it's App State's all over the place. So I lean Coastal as the home dog here, but probably not going to play here.
Matt, let's move on to Friday Night Lights action, November 4th, 3:15, 3:16, Duke and Boston College. We got 47 being the total. Duke -10, -9.5, depending where you're shopping. Those are the two numbers available. Boston College, oh my gosh, they just lost to UConn, Matt. Quarterback banged up. Duke off of a bye. I don't know, though, here. Laying doubles with Duke. What are you doing with this one?
I can't lay doubles with Duke. I just can't. It's not something I'm willing to do. And I'm looking now. Dracovic did not practice yesterday for Boston College. I mean, this is an easy game that probably passed, Drew, but I can't play Duke laying that many points. I almost think the bye hurts him, Drew, after the dominating win over Miami. I almost think the bye takes a little bit of momentum away from them. So once again, I guess I kind of pass. Maybe you wait and get some more definitive information on Dracovic, and if he plays, maybe you play the dog in this one, but I'm certainly not laying that many points with Duke.
See, I was looking at it. No way I could play Boston College, losing to UConn, quarterback banged up. but I went and dug a little bit deeper. Duke off of a bye. I thought you brought up a good point there. Plus, that their last game, I mean, it was like 45-20, something like that, on the road at Miami. They won. But when you dig into it, they were like +5 in turnovers. So it kind of looks a little bit sexier than it really was for the Blue Devils. I don't know. That's what kept me off of laying it with Duke, guys. We got 2 more here on Friday. Talk about degenerate special here. UMass and UConn here. So battle for the Northeast Division I college football teams. 40 being the total, -16. That's UConn as the favorite. Matt, when was the last time UConn was favored by more than 2 touchdowns against a Division I college football team? I don't know, but we're getting it this Friday night.
I mean, I can't. I mean, I'm certainly not betting this game, but I mean, look, I tried to take the team total under on UConn against FIU and lost it in the last couple minutes. UConn really just has a decent run game. That's about it. UMass, I don't know if I can say anything nice about UMass. This was their only win last year in this game, so UConn's going to be looking for revenge. I mean, I can't bet this game, Drew. I can't give any good information out. Like, this is 2 of the worst teams in the country. Although I'll say UConn needs 1 more win after they get this one. They can become bowl eligible, which should make Jim Mora the coach of the year in college football. But yeah, I can't bet this game.
Yeah, Jim Mora, the head coach, Jim Mora Jr., the head coach for UConn, here, -16. So I guess they're heading in the right direction, we could say, although they are playing UMass, guys. Oregon State, Washington, the nightcap on Friday night, 10:30 Eastern kick, -4 in the hook. That's the Huskies at home, 54.5 being the total.
Well, Washington at home, that means their offense is going to show up. Oregon State, I watched some of that Oregon State Colorado game because I had to do the scoring for that. Oregon State runs the ball really well. They don't really throw it very well. They do when they have to, but they're a run-based team. I don't think they'll be able to win this game with a run-based offense against Washington. I think the Huskies are just the better team. The one concern here, Drew, they have a road trip to Oregon up next. I like playing Washington at home somehow. So there will be somehow something Huskies related, whether it's maybe Michael Penix Jr. to throw a couple touchdowns in this game, whatever the prop may be for this one. But I usually like playing Washington at home. They're a completely different team.
And you bet props a lot, Matt. You're a good person to ask this question. Is the prop market in college football becoming advanced enough to where you can bet Michael Penix touchdowns over or under in every game, or would it only be for like the Friday night matchups?
No, it'd be every game. I mean, not every game, but most of them I've seen so far. Like, I had the Michael Penix Jr. over in the Michigan State game. I had the Michael Penix Jr. over in the Cal game. One of those won, one of those lost. So yeah, the market's getting better, but like, they're just not going to put props out for it. Like, you're not going to see any UMass UConn player props or anything like that.
Okay. We got moving on to the Saturday board here, guys. Every game on the board podcast, 5 parts this week for week number 10. A lot of games, not that many teams with bye weeks. So we're making our way through with our leadoff hitter here, Matt Josephs from sportsmemo.com at midmajormatt on Twitter. 11:30 a.m. Eastern kick for the top of the card here. 3-2-1-3-2-2 Air Force and Army neutral site game here. Globe Life Park in Arlington. I believe that's where the Texas Rangers play baseball. So a baseball stadium. -7, 40.5 being the total. Military academies going at it. Air Force and Army to kick us off on Saturday, Matt.
Wow, there's great numbers with taking the underdogs in these games. We already saw Navy cover against Air Force in the Commander-in-Chief game. So, I mean, my first look is to Army, especially since there are some 7.5s out there for this thing. But the other thing I usually look at is a first quarter under here. It's 7.5. These two have scored very few points. Now, the one thing that worries me here is Air Force has been known to throw those one passes that, you know, when Air Force throws passes, they're usually touchdowns. So that's the one thing that kind of scares me here is if, you know, Army's bunch in the box and then they throw to, I believe it's Cormier is their wide receiver. And then that's a quick touchdown. And now you're sweating the rest of the game. But usually one of the trends I like to play is the first quarter under here because both teams know each other. It's going to take, you know, only 3 or 4 drives might happen in that first quarter. So I usually like to play the dog and the first quarter under in this game.
And I'm only seeing one first quarter open. It's at DraftKings, 7.5 under juice minus 125. That you'd still like that?
Yeah, not as much because I am worried about that one pass. But yeah, we've talked about it. And when there's trends that I like to play, I'll play them every time and just reduce the unit size. So this may be a reduced unit size play that I'm going to do every time, but it's just going to probably be for less.
Let's move on to the 12 noon Eastern kicks here. North Carolina and Virginia. I believe this is the oldest rivalry in the South. I could be off on that because Auburn and Georgia is the oldest rivalry in the Deep South. Actually, people from this podcast, the listeners out there, which I always appreciate, have corrected me on that. I think that's this matchup. I could be off, though, Matt. North Carolina, Virginia, UNC -7 or -7.5 road favorites. 59.5 being the total in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Not laying the points here with North Carolina. Their defense is too bad. Although their defense, the only time it showed up was against Virginia Tech. UVA's offense is a joke. They didn't score a touchdown last week. They're the first team to lose a game in a while without scoring a touchdown because Miami didn't score a touchdown either. There's just bad things going on in Charlottesville. There's not going to be much of a crowd. It's a noon kickoff. This could feel at times like a North Carolina home game. So I'm not going to lay it with North Carolina because their defense is a problem. But Brennan Armstrong hasn't been very good this year. And I don't like anything surrounding the UVA program. So this is a pass for me. But don't be surprised if it sounds like a North Carolina home game.
Sure. He also injured his ankle, got a little bit banged up there against Miami day to day. So Charlottesville, beautiful town, offense, not so good this season anyway. We'll see what happens there. UNC Virginia as we make our way to the Big Ten, 7:30 Eastern kick, Michigan and Rutgers. Big Blue -26-point road favorites, 45 being the total.
Yeah, Rutgers is on my crap. Well, actually, Minnesota's more on my crap list. Last week, the team total I lost on Minnesota's under because they had to score a touchdown with a minute left that they really didn't need to. Once again, Drew, for people who've watched this, I'm not in the business of laying 26 points on the road. Rutgers' offense is horrendous. If Michigan's focused, they should win this game by 1,000,000. But there's always weird things that happens. There's no look ahead for Michigan. The only thing I would consider here is maybe Michigan's team total under. If Rutgers' defense is not bad, the problem is if their offense keeps going 3 and out, then the defense gets tired and the team total gets blown up. So pass on this one because I'm just not laying 26 on the road.
Heading to the ACC here, Matt. Wake Forest and NC State. 54 being the total, -4.5. That's the Demon Deacons on the road. Always interesting to watch this Wake Forest offense against better defenses. Will that kind of mush RPO, where he rides the running back in? Will it work against North Carolina State's defensive front? I'm not so sure. NC State backup quarterback, I believe, the rest of the way here, Matt. What are you thinking in the ACC?
May even be the third stringer. The third stringer was the one that won the game against Virginia Tech. And I would have said that NC State would have mailed in their season if they would have lost to Virginia Tech. They score those late points. The third string quarterback looks good. Now they're home and they're kind of motivated a little bit here. It's a night game, as you said. So that's going to be big. And I don't know where Wake's head's at, Drew. The Atlantic's done. They're 2 games behind Clemson. Clemson is the tiebreaker. I expect Wake to show up, but I don't. Certainly not going to buy them as a favorite in this game. I would play NC State or pass here. As you said, good defense for the Wolfpack. The concern there is the offense, but Wake's defense is pretty bad too.
Next game up, one of the more unique atmospheres in college football. If you ever get a chance to go to this one, it's particularly when it's down in Miami, talking FSU at Miami here, 329-330, night kickoff 7:30 Eastern. This will be a wild atmosphere here, Matt. And I bring it up because, South Florida, Dade, Broward County isn't like the South so much. So you get kind of like a little bit of Latin flair, a lot of partying going on, tailgating wise. Should be a loud atmosphere here. But there will be a lot of Florida State fans as well. Kind of almost a little bit dangerous at times, if you know what I mean. -7.5 as the road favorite. That's Florida State. 53 being the total in Miami Gardens.
The situation screams Miami because of how bad they looked. And now I haven't seen any update on Tyler Van Dyke, and obviously Wednesday things can still change. But, I kind of like the home team a little bit here. I know Florida State looked impressive against Georgia Tech. I know Miami looked horrendous, but that makes me want to play Miami in this situation. Anything above 7. It's only a lean as we kind of do. Obviously you do this and we give our opinions on every game. And so whether this makes my card or not is a different story. But my lean right now is Miami at home plus the 7.5. Anything above 7, I'd be very interested in the dog, and anything below 7 would probably be a pass here. But I know Miami looked horrendous against Virginia, but they're back home. I would expect a decent crowd, as you said, at least of Miami people. So I would say Miami as the dog here would be the only way I would go.
Yeah, this will be a big crowd. I mean, Florida State at Miami, it will be sold out. And there is a lot of Florida State alumni in Dade, Broward County. So, yeah, it will be a wild atmosphere. Fun one to watch for sure Saturday night. Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech up next. This one, 12:30 Eastern time slot. 40 being the total, -3 in Blacksburg. I mean, Georgia Tech, sometimes they win games that, come out of nowhere. Virginia Tech, I don't think is very good, but they are at home here, Matt. Are you liking anything in the Battle of Techs?
If Jeff Sims play, I'd play Georgia Tech. I don't know if he's going to play. I would like him not to play. I have under 3.5 wins for Georgia Tech. This is the game I'd be worried about the most, other than maybe the Miami game down in Atlanta. I think there's a very good chance Georgia Tech wins this game. It's a 12:30 kickoff. Tech fans will not show up. It'll be a very lazy atmosphere. What's the Hokies' mindset? They need a miracle to become bowl eligible, and they just lost a game where they actually scored touchdowns. I would play Georgia Tech if Jeff Sims is playing. If he's not playing, then this is another pass, because neither of these teams are worth anything without Jeff Sims playing.
All right, Matt, moving down the list here. Big Ten action up next as we get Iowa and Purdue kicking us off on Saturday, 12 noon Eastern kick. Another low total, 41 in the Big Ten, -4 in the hook. That's the Boilermakers at home.
So it's an interesting game because, Iowa's defense is really good. I won last week by the hair on my chinny chin chin. The team total under on Northwestern because they didn't kick the extra point. Thank God. That was the slimmest of margins because they scored right at the buzzer, and because the game was over and the extra point didn't matter, they didn't kick the extra point. The team total was 13.5. So I was very happy there. I mean, Iowa's defense is good. Purdue's defense is not great, but like Spencer Petras or Alex Padilla or whoever's starting, it doesn't really matter. Their offense is atrocious. So this is like a Tory Taylor game in terms of at least making Purdue have to work to score. Right now Purdue's team total is 23.5. I don't like it as much now. I'm hoping that we can push this thing to 24.5, and then I could take the under, because as I talked about last week, Drew, you want those key numbers in your favor. So if you like the over for Purdue, you want to take it now before it gets to that 24.5, because 24 now becomes an over. So I'm going to wait and see, but I can't bet on Iowa as a road dog here, but I do think their defense can keep them in this game.
Matt Josephs, check him out, sportsmemo.com, as we got a couple games left here in the segment. He's 63-40 so far this year in college football, 130-98 last year, and 98-59 in 2020. So going for three straight profitable college football seasons. Also 16-6 in the MLB playoffs. He throws out a lot of props. So if you like betting props, Matt's probably your guy. Check him out, sportsmemo.com. Obviously knows his college football right here as we're splitting the Big Ten games, Matt. Penn State and Indiana up next. Nittany Lions, -2 touchdowns pretty much across the board. We are seeing 113.5 out there. 50.5 being the total. Interesting to note here, as we're heading to Bloomington, Indiana, 5-point move towards the under, Matt. So what are you liking in this second of two Big Ten games?
Well, the 5-point move, as we look it up here, probably means there's some weather, which obviously it's Wednesday. You still can't predict the weather. And there is a little bit of rain in the forecast. And, there's the big arrows pointing out the wind there, Drew. Always, whenever you see a big move like that, it's either an injury that some people know about that not everybody knows about, or it's the weather. And there are about 18 to 20 mile per hour wind gusts, it looks like. Now, as I said, hard to predict the weather on Saturday when it's Wednesday, but that's certainly a factor. And that, neutralizes things a little. Well, it neutralizes things a little bit for both teams. Indiana wants to throw it every play if they could. Penn State at least has a solid ground game with Singleton and some of those other guys. But where's Penn State's head at, Drew? You get Ohio State at home. You play pretty well. You lose 44-31. Now you head to sleepy Bloomington in a little bit of a weather situation. I could see why some of this money's coming in on Indiana. The problem is Indiana's terrible. They just don't do a lot right. And if they're turning the ball over and giving Penn State short fields, the Nittany Lions should win this game easily.
Yeah, also Indiana's top wide receiver looks to be out for the year as well. Might have a little tick, but yeah, probably more to do with the weather. Good point there, Matt. Guys, check Matt out, sportsmemo.com. Also, every game on the board podcast, wherever you're downloading your podcast at, you can watch live. Drew Martin Betts YouTube channel, and also on the Wager Talk YouTube channel as well, guys. So trying to put out as many avenues to watch every game on the board. Took us a little while, but we got it going. Twitter as well, at Mid-Major Matt, at Drew Martin Betts. 2 games left here, finishing it with two matchups that Matt knows a lot about here. 7:30 Eastern kick, 337, 338 JMU. That's James Madison at Louisville. We're seeing Louisville Cardinal -7.5 or -8-point home favorites. 52.5 being the total here, Matt.
So I'm kind of disappointed. Last week I had the coach on for JMU, and I asked him, he's one of these guys who doesn't tell you injuries. And I asked him, I was like, Coach, I know you're not going to tell me, but how's your injury situation? He's like, all right, it's pretty good. But apparently, when I talked to the JMU play-by-play guy yesterday, Centeo's injury last week came on Thursday's practice. So it's not something that he would have, that was widely known, that actually Billy Adkins, ran the walkthrough on Friday, but didn't get a ton of reps. I found it interesting that the money came in early on James Madison. I think that's an assumption that Centeo's playing. Practices are closed this week. Nobody's watching, so nobody's going to know if he's actually going to play. So I think people are betting on a prayer that he is going to play. The better thing I think you should do here, Drew, is play the over. JMU's offense, if Centeo plays, is going to score, and I think this number is a great number for that. If he doesn't play, their offense is going to struggle, but Louisville's going to be put into some good situations. I think JMU's finally finding out, playing an FBS schedule with FBS opponents week after week is different than playing an FCS opponent with a casual FBS opponent sprinkled in. The reason why I also like the over here is the situational spot for Louisville. Huge win over Wake Forest. At Clemson up next week, a bigger game in conference. So I don't think we'll get the necessarily best effort from both sides of the ball. The only way I'm playing this game, and it's probably my best bet here, Drew, when you ask me at the end, it's the over in this game. I think we take the over at this good number, hope that Centeo plays, and if he doesn't play, hope that Louisville does a lot of the work, and hope that a week full of practices for Atkins will get them to a better situation than they had against Marshall.
All right, guys, 1 game left here. This will end part 1. We'll bring on Teddy Covers at 3:45 Eastern to start part 2 if you want to watch live. Also posted Wager Talk YouTube channels. Here we got Syracuse and Pittsburgh, Matt. 339, 340, 48 being the total. We're seeing Pitt -3.5-point home favorites. Good one in the ACC, and you're an alumni of Syracuse. What are you liking here?
I mean, I don't know if we're going to agree because you said you had something on this beforehand, but situationally, this is Pitt or nothing. Syracuse off of the Clemson loss, which is really tough, off of Notre Dame at home, off of their quarterback being banged up a little bit. I don't know what Garrett Schrader's status is. Del Rio Wilson is not a bad option, but now teams get a week to at least look at some of his footage. You've got a Pitt team that just lost at North Carolina. Obviously, they played a ton of home games earlier on in the season. To me, situationally, and Syracuse lost Garrett Williams, who is their best cornerback. To me, it's Pitt or nothing here. Situationally, I just think that you're going to get a flat orange team in this one.
Yeah, I was leaning with you there with the quarterback going out, which we actually talked about on this podcast. Like the way he plays, you can just see that coming. He's a long, lanky, white dude. Yeah, he's fast when he's going north and south in the open green grass. But he tries to think like he's Johnny Manziel or like Lamar Jackson, and it doesn't work for him. Talking about Garrett Schrader there, and sure enough, took a lick and he's banged up right now. So I was thinking about going on Pitt as well. Don't want to lay that hook on the 3, but still, I agree with you. That would be the side to go. Guys, check out Matt Joseph's sportsmemo.com. We went over how he's seeing it right now. 3 straight college footballs seasons going back to 2020, profitable MLB playoffs, 16-6, a lot of props there. Matt, throw it over to you, man. Closing thoughts, take it away. And if you got a most confident play of the section, if you could throw it out for the listeners.
It's, we're going to play the hope that Todd Centeo plays, but JMU, Louisville over 52. It'll most likely be a play on my card for my client. So you're getting a client play here. I don't know if Todd's playing. If he does, this number is going to go up. because JMU will certainly score on Louisville. If he does not play, the hope is that Louisville will do a lot of the legwork here. But if you wait to play this when you get an official announcement, which could come Friday night, could come Saturday, that Todd's playing, this number is going to go up. I bet it'll go back up to the original number of 55, maybe even higher than that. But I think JMU Louisville over 52. We're getting a solid number here. I know we're playing the chance that Tyson Teo's not playing, but I'm hoping that Billy Atkins, with another week of practice, can be better in this offense and they can move the ball a little bit and we get like a 38-17 type of game in this situation. The spot screams it for Louisville, sandwiched between Wake Forest and Clemson. JMU is in between these two games. How focused will Louisville be? So I think that we're going to get a higher scoring game here. So give me JMU Louisville over 52, and let's hope Todd Centeio plays.
All right, guys, there is 52 available offshore. Bookmaker showing it right now, 52.5 at a lot of shops. But for Matt's best bet here, JMU Louisville, we can give him 52. Looking at the Wager Talk live odds screen. Matt, good stuff. As always, guys, check them out, sportsmemo.com. Thanks to everybody smashing the like button, commenting on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets, at Mid-Major Matt. Drew Martin Bets on YouTube, and about to post here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. So thank you, however you're watching, and we'll be right back with Teddy Covers and part number 2 of the Every Game on the Board podcast.